Mr. President, this is a critical moment in history, and we are standing at the precipice of a significant shift. The cycle of history is not just a pattern, it's a rhythm that has shaped human existence for centuries, and it is now at a point of convergence. As we look ahead to the 2030s, we are not just facing extreme environmental challenges. We are on the brink of a transformation that has echoed through the past every 100 years. The repeating cycles of environmental upheavals, political changes, and celestial alignments are not merely coincidental. They are forces of nature that humankind has always had to reckon with. The 1930s were marked by global economic struggles, heat waves, and social upheaval, events that profoundly reshaped the world. And now, as we approach the 2030s, those same patterns are aligning once more. The planetary shifts, the climate extremes, and the political volatility are poised to return with greater intensity. As we look back at previous centuries, we see the same themes: heat waves, famines, political instability, and societal stress. And in those moments, nations that were prepared fared better. Those that were not prepared found themselves scrambling, unable to cope with the chaos that inevitably followed. The next 5 years are crucial in determining how we navigate the coming decade of transformation. Every year leading up to the 2030s is a window to prepare for the changing world. Mr. President, the United States, and by extension the world, will face unprecedented challenges. The heat waves, famine, and social upheaval we saw in past cycles will return. We have the opportunity now, in these 5 years, to fortify our nation, shore up our resilience, and invest in sustainable systems that will carry us through. Our economy, our energy infrastructure, and our food security must be reimagined to withstand the pressures ahead. These preparations are not just about surviving, they are about thriving. We must address climate resilience, renewable energy, and technological innovation now. These aren't just buzzwords, they are imperatives for survival. The next 5 years must be a time of strategic planning, where we invest in infrastructure that can withstand extreme heat, disruption of food supplies, and economic uncertainty. We must look at past cycles as a blueprint for the future and act accordingly. Mr. President, this isn't just about preparing for a difficult decade. This is about leadership in the face of inevitable change. The question will not be whether the changes will come, it is whether we prepare for them or allow ourselves to be caught off guard. The cycle is repeating, the patterns are set. Now is the time for decisive action, for investing in sustainability, and for preparing the American people for what lies ahead. The next 5 years will define how well we weather the storms to come. It's a moment of opportunity, but it requires vision and action. History is repeating itself, and the world will need strong leadership to navigate this challenging time. We have a chance to set the course for the future, but the window for preparation is closing. The 2030s are almost upon us. Now is the time to act. The time for preparation is now. We are on the brink of a repeating cycle, a historical pattern that spans centuries. And within 5 years, this cycle will once again be upon us. The 2030s will not just be another decade. It will be a time of hardship and transformation. History has shown us the trajectory. The 1730s, the 1830s, the 1930s, all marked by extreme environmental disasters, economic collapses, and geopolitical turmoil. These cycles are not random, they follow a pattern. And now, the next chapter is approaching. A nation unprepared for this shift will face serious consequences. It will struggle to adapt, and its people will suffer needlessly. The weather will worsen, with extreme heat waves, floods, droughts, and storms. Economies will be strained under the pressure, and societies will face unrest as the old systems falter. This is not the time to be complacent or to ignore the lessons of the past. It is the time to learn from history, to prepare for what is coming, and to fortify ourselves both physically and mentally. Those who take action now, who start to prepare, who adapt, and who understand the patterns of nature and society, will have the chance to weather this storm. But those who ignore it, who remain unprepared, will not only face extreme hardship, but risk the survival of their nations and their way of life. This pattern is not something that can be easily avoided, but it can be mitigated. However, the clock is ticking, and the time to act is running out. The 2030s will bring change, and those who fail to prepare will suffer the consequences. We can either take the lessons of the past and use them to navigate the coming storm, or we will find ourselves bound to repeat it, with consequences far more severe than any of us are prepared for. Those who ignore history are not just unprepared, they become vulnerable to manipulation. When the world faces hardship, those who seek to control the masses will use narratives to keep people in the dark, pushing for policies and actions that may seem beneficial on the surface, but will only serve to weaken and enslave. The removal of coal, fossil fuels, and other resources that are critical in times of crisis is a prime example. These tools of survival, necessary for heating, transportation, and industry during extreme conditions, will be demonized in favor of alternatives that are not ready to sustain us through tough times. Ignoring the lessons of the past means falling prey to those who exploit fear and uncertainty for their gain. They will push agendas that strip away our means of survival, using false narratives and manipulated truths to ensure their control. Preparedness, not just in physical resources, but in awareness and understanding, is our defense against this. Those who recognize the repeating cycle of history and see through the smoke and mirrors of misleading narratives will be better equipped to thrive, not just survive. The 2030s will test us, but if we fail to learn from history and prepare accordingly, we will fall prey to those who seek to use our ignorance against us. Be ready for what is truly coming, and not the distractions of false promises and manipulative agendas. The truth is our shield, and without it, we are exposed. The time to prepare is now, for the world will change, and those who are prepared will be the ones to shape the future, not those who are left to suffer because they ignored the past.
Spray. Relief. You two take care of labor.
Like a flower or a tree, I'll throw my head back and sing, and sing, and sing, and sing, and sing.
I want less on the planet.